Africa has boldly demanded an end to its exploitation, a stance the United States never anticipated. This newfound courage has been fueled by China, who has inspired Africa to take the long, desired steps it has always yearned for. The transformation is amazing. Africa is quickly becoming a new powerhouse. It is severing relations with the United States and entering the competitive arena. This development offers a serious threat to the West because losing control of this resource-rich region would be devastating. In this video, we explore the factors influencing Africa's changing attitude toward the United States. We also explore how China's influence has energized the continent. Make sure to watch all the way to the end to find out if the United States can regain its dominance in this region. The once promising relationship between the United States and Africa is now in jeopardy due to recent events. As U.S.-African relations weathered turbulent storms, the previous President Donald Trump's administration left a legacy of strained connections and squandered possibilities. The question of whether recent efforts to rekindle interaction under the direction of U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken can mend the relationship as the effects of this era continue to ripple across the diplomatic arena. The major difficulty in the relationship between the United States and Africa has always been that the former was always taking while the latter was always giving. As a result, the former has always been exploited by the latter, and under Trump, things have only become worse. In the midst of tense ties, Trump's actions, such as his decision to stop supporting climate change money intended for Africa, showed a lack of commitment to topics essential for the continent's sustainable development. Change was promised during Antony Blinken's recent trip to Africa, as the U.S. Secretary of State signaled a new phase in American engagement. This proclamation attempted to address the sense of neglect that had pervaded prior encounters for decades and represented a renewed effort to restore the bridges that had been destroyed over time while also acknowledging the crucial role that Africa plays on the world arena. Africa has historically been a territory that has been exploited by many global powers, especially the United States, but a new dawn is developing on the continent as the long-standing coalition built on exploitation starts to fall apart. China is the driving force behind this transition, with Russia's assistance, at a time when geopolitical dynamics are drastically changing. The United States played a role in the historical exploitation of Africa, which has left scars that have taken a long time to heal. As a result, Africa's decision to unite with these countries marks a substantial change from the past. The U.S. efforts continue, but the question that dominates is whether they are too little or too late given that the effects of strained relations are not easily dismissed and the wounds of neglect take time to heal. Can Blinken's words be translated into reality given that the traditional dynamics of dominance are being replaced with an alliance that holds promise for a more equitable partnership? As Africa seeks economic growth, sustainable development, and a stronger global voice, it needs dependable partners who are invested in its success. However, experts claim that Africa no longer wants to improve its relations with the United States because of China and Russia. This shift in attitude is the result of China's rise. Over the past few years, China and Africa's connections have deepened, and China and Russia's influence in Africa has grown. In addition to broadening their global influence, China and Russia are increasingly influential in Africa. These two countries have positioned themselves as partners who genuinely prioritize the development of Africa rather than seeking to extract its resources without providing fair compensation. African countries that have long sought a way to advance without losing their sovereignty find great resonance in this move. Africa's alignment with China and Russia is fundamentally due to the way they approach aid. In earlier ties, help frequently came with conditions. China and Russia have shown a dedication to empowering Africa without any other goals in mind. The assistance they offer goes beyond simple financial support. It also focuses on creating infrastructure, promoting education, and supporting the development of companies that will result in long-term prosperity. China has offered aid that has greatly aided Africa's economic development. Africa has benefited greatly from China's ambitious Belt and Road program thanks to investments in vital infrastructure projects including highways, ports, and energy facilities. China is accelerating economic development in a real and profound way through these measures, which not only improve Africa's connection but also help it become more independent and less dependent on exploitative ties. By emphasizing sectors like agriculture, energy, and technology, Russia's involvement with Africa is also centered on respect and empowerment between the two peoples. African leaders are interested in working with partners who value their autonomy and agency. And Russia's goal of assisting African states in realizing their potential while upholding their sovereignty is one that they can get behind. While there are obviously problems, Africa's alliance with China and Russia represents a change from historical exploitation to a new chapter of prosperity and partnership. Greater self-determination and economic empowerment are promised by staying the course. Before we go any further, let us know if you're loving the video. If so, please like and share it and subscribe to our channel for more videos. The continent is choosing cooperation over subjugation and development over stagnation. Let's continue talking about China's progress, strength, and influence in the globe. The history of American involvement in Africa has shaped a complex narrative characterized by elements of exploitation. The alliance between China and Russia is changing the narrative and putting empowerment in the forefront, painting a brilliant shade on Africa's canvas. The attitude they take to the development of Africa is at the heart of this revolution. The United States' foreign policy actions and the welfare of Africa have not always been given top priority. Trump's actions show that the interests of the continent have frequently taken a back place. Additionally, the U.S. encouraged African nations to make controversial decisions amid great power competition while maintaining essential resources and financing under his administration. His government also cut back on foreign aid to the region and neglected important issues like health and food security. These activities have raised questions about America's sincerity in supporting the independence and prosperity of Africa. The promise of Africa joining the Group of 20 and other economic alliances does not do much to alleviate the fundamental problem. Development in Africa shouldn't depend on U.S. approval. History shows that the United States' leverage over financial institutions can thwart multi-billion-dollar aid by setting requirements that stifle real progress toward actually empowering Africa. Any aid given should be unconditional and respect the sovereignty of the continent. Yet, as stated by David Shin, a seasoned diplomat with vast African experience, the U.S. has refused to adopt such an approach. Repeat loudly, Africa has never been a top priority for American foreign policy. This order of priority gap casts doubt on the likelihood of the United States and diverse Africa finding meaningful common ground when such efforts are unsuccessful. The value of bolstering partnerships is called into question. China and Russia's initiatives complement Africa's ambitions for equitable prosperity. Rather than fostering reliance, their focus on industries like agriculture and energy is in line with the demands of the continent. These countries work to promote self-sufficiency through resource management, skill development, and technology transfer. The U.S. wants to counter China's influence in Africa as part of its influence strategy. Such goals are influenced by a Cold War mindset that is motivated by strategic concerns that could limit Africa's potential. There is no denying that the United States exploits Africa for geopolitical purposes. The talk about destabilizing consequences conveniently ignores U.S. backdoor groups and militias that have caused instability on the continent. Additionally, the U.S.'s strategy of utilizing Africa as a theater for its power play runs counter to the actual partnership that Africa needs. Africa's skepticism toward American promises reflects the fact that America has consistently underestimated Africa's economic potential and ignored its enormous market influence. This is in contrast to China and Russia's strategies, which embrace a diverse pool of foreign investors interested in Africa's sustainable development. Africa will avoid exploitation as a result of its decision to side with China and Russia over the United States. We would like to take a minute to thank everyone for contributing and sharing their thoughts. Your views always impress us in light of Africa's historical experiences. China will not allow the U.S. to exploit its ally any longer. What do you think about the potential for the China-Russia-Africa alliance to help create a more multi-polar and balanced global order? Let us know in the comments section. Will the United States ever be able to regain its influence in Africa? Do you want to watch more videos like this one? If so, please like and share the video and subscribe to get exclusive videos.